Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. I'm Jonathan Little. If you've never been here before, you've probably been here before, though. If you're new, welcome. I'll teach you to be better at poker. Today is Valentine's Day, so I'm wearing my nice blue shirt because I don't actually own a red shirt. My wife's mom is in fashion, and she told me red does not go so well with my skin. True story. Actually, it's more like the dark red rust color does not go well with the skin. So whatever, we don't have red. That's fine. Today we're going to be discussing giving, because I think a lot of people view poker as a game of taking, and to be fair, it is to some extent, right? There's this idea, if you think about it, that poker is more of a game of trading, where professional players trade time and an experience for money, right? And losing players trade their money for a good experience. Now, good is certainly relative, right? Because good could mean, they just want to gamble hard. Good could mean they want to have a fun time with their friends and have a few drinks. Good could mean they want to socialize about politics and religion. Who knows what good means to each individual person. But there's a trade going on, right? There's this idea that professional poker players provide no value to the real world. And that very easily could be true depending on what you mean when you say provide value, right? Because most poker players, when they first start, or perhaps for the whole career, all they do is they sit and they play poker all day, every day. They don't actually create anything besides money in their pockets from the losing players, right? And a lot of people think that they should never go into poker because of that. But it's important to realize that there are many ways that you can actually give back through poker. Before we get to those, though, check out my Valentine's Day sale. I am giving you a substantial discount for all of my work. Check it out at pokercoaching.com/Valentine sale. I'm sure there's a link to it on Twitter at twitter.com/Jonathan Little, probably on Instagram. There's links everywhere. If you have any problems finding anything of mine, send me an email. support@pokercoaching.com. We will direct you right to it. So, when you're a young person, you have essentially no assets. You have essentially none, unless you were born rich or something, but most of us aren't lucky to be born rich, okay? So, pretty much everything you have is given to you. For example, take my kids, James and Thomas. They have literally earned nothing, right? So, given they've earned literally nothing, everything they have has been gifted to them. And that's the case for all of us. If you've made it to adulthood, you've at least been gifted a few things, right? So, if that's the case, that's important to recognize, right? That you have been given a lot. You saw me on Survivor the other day. Yes, somehow I was fortunate enough to be at a poker table when a bunch of Survivor champions made an alliance. If they ever got back on Survivor, they'd work together. Now, clearly they could just have been joking, who knows? But maybe it'll help them, maybe it'll come back to bite them. But I was sitting there at the table. It was me, Joe Stapleton, and 4 champions of Survivor. So that was pretty cool. I won all the money that day. I think I was actually the only winner. Felt kind of bad. And so we went out to dinner, and I bought everyone a nice dinner in LA. So I spent all of my winnings on dinner for everyone. It was a good time. Very, very good time. Very good experience. Poker Night in America provides a great experience. You're just doing the poker coaching homework now. Well, you're probably too late. I actually have to go a little bit early today because I have to get prepared for my poker coaching monthly homework challenge webinar. We have a doozy today. Trying to debate if I should read it to you. No, go to pokercoaching.com. You can read it yourself. And a lot of you submitted answers, and a lot of your answers are pretty good. We actually have a very good selection of answers today, so that's good. All right, so when you're young, what can you actually provide? If you're a young person here, if you're like 8 years old or something, and you're somehow found Jonathan Little, given you don't actually provide much to the world, what things can you provide to the people who are giving you stuff, which are your parents, your teachers, etc.? Well, you can give them love and affection. You can give them admiration, but perhaps most importantly, you can give them effort. You can give your mentors, the people who are spending their time, their energy, their money, etc., helping you, you can give them a good effort. Because if people see that you are putting in a good effort, they're going to be way, way, way more willing to help you compared to if you just, ignore them and don't pay attention. I mean, I can tell you this with my own kids, right? If James is cooperating, I'm way more likely to, be happy and nice. Whereas when he's not cooperating, I do my best to try to get him to cooperate, right? But at some point, you're just like, whatever. And I mean, to be fair, I feel like I do a pretty good job parenting, but at the same time, it's frustrating at times. And it'd be nice if it wasn't frustrating at times. No, I mean, he's 3 years old, right? You can't reason with a 3-year-old to some extent. But you get what I'm saying. If you're like a 10-year-old kid, you can be reasoned with. And if people are giving to you, it is essentially your job to give back to them the things that you can give, which are cooperation and effort. Effort is very important. All right, eventually you're going to develop some skills. Now, you may develop skills at different times in your life. If you're a new poker player, you have literally no poker skills, right? And that's okay. So, like, for example, if I wanted to get into boxing, for example, I have literally no boxing skills. It would be as if I'm a 1-year-old child at boxing, right? Same thing with basketball, same thing with weaving, same thing with, whatever, insert anything. Microphone making, iPhone making, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So, it's important to realize that whenever you get into something new, you are essentially a total novice. So, realize that, it's going to sound a little bit bad, but your opinions on a lot of matters pertaining to that topic do not matter compared to the opinions of experts at that topic. Someone gave me some crap on YouTube the other day saying that we should someone said we should treat everyone's opinions equally about things pertaining to poker when people ask for opinions. And I don't think that's true. For example, if I put out a hand on Twitter that I'm asking for opinions on, people can give their opinions, but I'm really only looking for like 4 or 5 specific people's opinions, the ones who I actually trust to be of value. If I ask about investing in things, maybe I'll post something on Twitter, not that I ever do this kind of thing, but if I did, I'm actually only looking for a few people's answers. So it's important to realize that some people's opinions are way more valuable than others, and you should highly value those. And where am I going with this? I'm getting lost. Basically, as you get older, you're going to develop some skills, but realize that if you're new to something, or even if you've been in something for a while, like there's been a lot of people who have been in poker for 15 years, but they're not good at poker yet, but they think they are. And I guess that's where a lot of issues come up, where someone will try to help those people who think that they are good, yet they're not actually good, and then they get offended, they get mad, and some people don't want the help. They don't want to have things given to them. Anyway. Eventually you're going to develop skills and resources. If you go to school, you get out of college, you have a job, presumably you have the resources to give to other people. Whether it be, say, you're a doctor, right? Well, it'd be great if I had a doctor on call. I could just call and ask about any of my medical problems, right? And it'd be great if the doctor had a poker player that he could call whenever he had any poker problems. And you can eventually make trades, right? You can, essentially, you have things to give if you feel inclined to give them. So as a poker player, you can give a few things. Well, you can give mentorship, you can give education, you can give help to people who want to be helped, right? You can create content about poker. There's lots of different types of content you can make. For example, you can do a little coffee. I don't know anybody else who's waking up and doing a morning show, so I decided to start doing it, right? And that's something that I can do that actually doesn't take me a ton of effort, but it provides a decent amount of value, right? You can donate time. When you're a young person and you have nothing going on, you can donate time, right? Say you're 16 years old and you want to help out the world, go donate and do something. This is why you see a lot of young people going away before college to donate a year of their life to help something, because they don't have any other skills. They're going to learn some skills while they're out there, and they're going to help the world, which is great. And you can also donate resources like money, like poker books, like hours of coaching, right? One of my students, Donna, posted on Twitter the other day that she won some charity event with Daniel Negreanu where she got to go to his house and play poker with her and some of her friends. And Negreanu posted that she played like a good GTO robot, which is good. It's one of my students. That's fantastic. Okay, so a few cautions pertaining to giving. Okay, a lot of people don't like when I say these things, but I think it's important because I've seen lives ruined. I'll give you examples. I'll give you good examples to solidify these. There were a group of a few of the high-stakes, well-known pros from back in the day. They were poker celebrities on TV, and they won a bunch of money. Call it $3 million, something like that. So they decided we're going to take some of this money, donate it back home to our friends and family back in, I think they lived in Vietnam, something like that, which is, again, there's nothing wrong with any of these things, but I'm going to give you a little bit of caution with these things. So they donated, let's say, $1 million out of their $3, and then they decided we're going to go over there and we're going to do charity work for the next 3 years. Okay? Fine and good. They go and they do this. Then they come back to the poker world, and they realize, oh my God, I'm way worse than my opponents. I haven't studied poker in 3 years, and they all went broke. So they had a golden goose, and they killed the golden goose in exchange for giving help immediately. And now maybe the people back home needed help immediately. I do not know. But if you are good at a particular thing, like perhaps making money from poker, your time will probably be better spent making money from poker and paying people to go back home and do that thing, right? Now, maybe you want to do it because that's what you want in your heart. And I'm not trying to tell anyone not to do what you want to do. But at the same time, realize that though there are two people I'm thinking of off the top of my head, I'm not going to out them because they still try to play today and they're not very good. But they thought they needed to do this thing, and they did this thing that took away 3 years of their life and a third of their bankroll. They came back, they lost the rest of their bankroll, thinking that they still were good at poker. And now inevitably they're kind of screwed. And I'm sure they did good work in the 3 years that they were out there, but they could not do work long term. And that's a problem, right? Another one of my friends, he won, let's say, $1 million in tournaments, grinded up over a few years, and decided to donate $300,000 back to one of his schools that he went to. Which, good, fine, great. The problem, though, is that inevitably he went on a downswing. And then he, had $1 million, then he lost that. He gave away to $700K, then he lost down to like $200K, had to start playing much smaller stakes, and then had a significantly smaller win rate. Whereas having that additional $300K would have been very, very valuable. Because then he could just keep playing the regular games, right? And essentially, I think you need to some extent to make sure that you are decently well taken care of. Because if you think about the way charity works, you can use things like money to get things done, right? Like, for example, if you want to send 10 people to Vietnam, pay them $40,000 a year, it costs you $400K, and they're going to do 10 times or call it 7 times as much work as you, and you're going to use your money to scale that, and if you know you're going to make, let's say, $500K a year from playing poker, it's like you're giving away less than a year of your life. You're still going to be able to make some money, $100K out the door, and you're going to be able to do immense help back home. So I think structuring your giving like that, or in a way like that, is very valuable. Think about what you are giving and what you could be giving instead. And if you are very good at something and you make good money from that thing, I know a lot of people don't necessarily value the giving of money, but when you give money, you're actually giving your time, because presumably you had to spend time to make that money for the most part. It's not always true, but you have to spend time to make money, and if your time is more valuable than the value you would be providing otherwise, then it's probably better to give your money instead of your time. That said, when you're starting to give your money, you have to make sure you're not giving money that could be to your detriment. And poker is very different than most careers, because in poker, your money is also one of your most important assets, your bankroll, right? And you really don't want to give away a large chunk of your most important asset. Now, you may say that I have $1 million and $500K if it's my bankroll, $500K if it's my life money, I'm going to do what I want with that $500K. Fine. If you're a professional poker player, though, you are going to go on big downswings. You just are, I'm sorry. So knowing that you need to be very well prepared. What a lot of these players did not recognize is that they we're going to keep like 100 buy-ins in their bankroll, which, sounds like a lot, but then you go on a 60 buy-in downswing, which will happen. Then you have 40 left, and you're like, oh, I really don't want to go broke, so I need to move down. And then they go broke. So what I suggest is that you find a percentage of your money to give away each year. And I don't think it should be a big percentage, personally, if you want to continue growing your important tool, your bankroll, right? So let's say every year you give away 5% of whatever you win out the door. It's not really going to hurt you all that much, and you'll be able to do that throughout your entire career. And imagine your bankroll grows by, let's say, 20% a year, which isn't a ton, and you give away 5% of your money. You're not going to grow as quick as you possibly could, but you're going to be able to give indefinitely, and you'll end up giving way more long-term than the people who try to give a ton immediately. And I think that that's an important concept that many people forget because, well, a lot of poker players like to go hard. They like to go hard with everything they do, myself included. If I'm doing it, I'm doing it. If I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it, right? And you have to be very cautious with going too hard with something that could be detrimental to your career. And the ways that you can really screw up a poker career are giving away your bankroll and not playing poker for a long time. That is, playing and or studying poker for a long time. Not doing those things are very good ways to hurt yourself if you give away your bankroll and give away your time playing poker. Okay, so anyway, you're going to find that a lot of businesses are actually in the business of giving more than they receive. Because, in theory, if your business does not provide immense value, why would people give you money? Jonathan Little Poker Coaching is a good example of this, right? You all paid me money to teach you to play poker because you're going to make way more money than you pay me playing at the table based on the information you learned from me. My Cash Game Masterclass that I released, 8 or 9 months ago now, is a good example of this, where we had people who were legitimately losing poker players at cash games, struggling to break even at 1-2, and now, 9 months later, they're winning $50 an hour at 2-5. Their lives have completely changed because they paid Jonathan Little $100, right? I mean, think of the value. You're going to pay me $100 and now you're making $50 an hour. And that is incredibly, incredibly valuable to them. And it's a good example of a business that provides value, right? And you're going to find that most businesses aim to provide value. Now, obviously, there are some people out there who are scammers, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what we're trying to do, clearly. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm thinking in the educational space, for example. There are a lot of poker coaches out there who are not good at poker, who do not really play much poker, who do not actually study poker, who are really just selling nonsense based on some past image or based on current day marketing, whatever. And you have to be very careful about that. You have to be discerning. Can you average 10 euros an hour or 10 pounds an hour at 25.50 online, 25 cent, 50 cent online? I don't know. Play and see what you can get. What were my results in 2019 on the internet? I didn't actually play much online in 2019. I can tell you my 2020 results because I've played only 4 sessions and we won $40,000, so that's pretty solid. I was in Nottingham recently and I played 4 nights actually, after playing live those days, and I decided to load up all the biggest stuff. And we had no amazingly good results, but we had lots of pretty good results. Like I took a 3rd in a 1K, a 2nd in a 1K, 9th in a 500. I don't know. We had a lot of pretty solid results, but I'm not playing a ton online. Why? Because I have a family and a wife and kids. This is actually a good example of why you do not give away all your resources in one shot. Because, for example, if I gave away all my resources, I would not be able to now, a little bit later in life, do whatever I would like to do. And what I know I want to do is I wanted to be home with my family. It's very important to figure out what you want in life and then achieve it. 111 people, only 34 likes. Come on, man, as Kevin says. Click like, click subscribe. It's free for you. Hey, I was on Survivor. I was on Survivor the other day. It's pretty lucky. I just happened to be at the table at the right place at the right time. Sometimes you're lucky. All right, so business and poker. Whenever you do anything, presumably, anything that you're getting paid for, presumably you are providing more value than you are being paid. So if you have a job and someone pays you, let's say, $20 an hour, in theory, they think that they are making more than $20 an hour off of you, right? Just think about it. It makes sense. Why would they hire you otherwise? Obviously, there are some cases for loss leaders, like in the casino business or whatever, where they're going to lose money doing some things in exchange for making way more money on other things. So now what we're talking about, let's say you have a job at a fast food restaurant, you make $20 an hour. Maybe you can't make $20 an hour at a fast food restaurant. I don't know what people get paid anymore. Say you're making $20 an hour doing something. They're making more than $20 an hour off of you. Fine. So, knowing that, you should consider finding ways to use your skills in a way that makes your true value, right? So let's say you do work at McDonald's, let's just pretend, and you're making your $20 an hour and you're happy with this, but you would prefer to do more. You prefer to give back more than just going to your job and working and making burgers for people. What can you do? Well, you want to start thinking outside of the box. Maybe you can develop better ways to make burgers. Maybe you can make YouTube videos showing off the life of what you do at work. Maybe you can write a memoir discussing the things that go on that are neat and cool. And all of these things will provide value on the side. Yeah, fast food at $20 an hour, LOL. Yeah, I think I used to get paid $5.15 when I worked at a fast food restaurant. That was many years ago. Then they'd like give you a good honor, giving you a raise, 10 whole cents after a year. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm going to go find a new job now. By the way, if you are working at a job where you are not making ends meet, it's important to realize that you have the power to change your life immediately by spending all of your free time learning something new. And that can be anything. That can be whatever you want to do. You're going to find that some things are easier to get into than others, right? For example, you're probably not going to become a lawyer if you are working in fast food overnight. But there are many things you can do rather quickly to add additional income, right? You can do things like create content. Going back to ways you can very clearly create content for people. This can be in various ways. You could get good at making images and then, do gig work making images for people. I mean, I have someone who makes images for me. I don't make all these nice images that I put out. I don't know how to do that at all. So we have someone who does that kind of thing, and he makes a legitimate income off of it, right? You can help people with social media. You can learn to play poker very well in a smart way, not in a degenerate way. You can do all sorts of stuff, right? I'm sure you can Google ways to make money on the side and it'll come up. But also, you can develop skills, right? And these can be things like you can learn Spanish on the side, and then you can become a translator if you feel inclined, right? There are plenty of apps out there and programs that will teach you all sorts of languages relatively cheaply, right? And you can use all of your free time to better your life. What a lot of people do instead is they work 40 hours a week and they go home and they think that they're tired, and then that they watch TV for the rest of the day, watch nonsense. And then they do not better their lives. But you're going to find that basically everyone who makes it in life devotes all of their free time to building something more than what they are currently doing, right? You're going to find that when you get content, that is when the world very often passes you by, right? Cap says, only your phone, not referring to this. But actually, funny enough, a lot of these things that I just told you, you can literally do from any smartphone. Doesn't have to be like a good fancy one. If you have a $300 smartphone, you can do things like create content, like learn languages, all sorts of stuff, just by spending effort on your phone in your spare time. And if you only work 40 hours a week, I don't even know how many hours are in a week. Let's get the calculator. I'm sure some of you know this off the top of your head. 40 hours a week. No. It's 24 hours a day times 7 days a week, okay? 168 hours a week. Wow, that's a lot of hours in a week. Minus the 40 you work. How many hours are we going to sleep a day? Let's say it's a lot. Let's say we sleep 70 hours a week. 10 hours a day. Yeah, right. So that means we have 58 free hours a week. Let's say it takes you an hour to get ready each day. So minus 7 for that. So now we're down to 51 hours a week that we have of pure leisure time if you're working 40 hours a week. You really think you cannot get something done in 51 hours a week? I mean, you can. A good example of this is the poker coaching challenge I just did. If you are a poker coaching premium member, over the last month, you had the opportunity to get involved in a challenge. And we had something like 500 students complete this 30-day challenge where every single day they learned something about poker. It took them about 20 minutes to an hour every day. And they spent, whatever it is, 4, 5, 6 hours a week on learning poker. And a lot of them are already significantly better at poker because of it, and they've developed a very, very good skill set pertaining to poker, right? And that's what they want to learn. That's what they want to spend their effort doing, and they have, and that's fantastic. So that is relevant, right? Work out. Working out's another good thing, right? If you work out, maybe you could become a trainer, right? The problem with working out is almost a thing kind of like poker, where unless you're out there making content, it's probably not going to scale all that well. But hey, many people have made gyms and they've made training programs where they will teach other people to work out, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, look, really, you can take anything that seems like an individual game, like poker, like working out, like whatever, and you can scale it if you just think about it and figure out ways to do that. How much can you make it? 25 cent or $25 no limit? It depends. Why don't you play short deck? Because I'm not convinced it's going to take off. And I don't want to sit at the poker table all day, every day anymore. I could pack it up and go to Macau, but I don't think my wife and my kids would appreciate that. Is it dumb to 1 or 2 table online? I would tell you to practice 8 tabling online for micro stakes, an irrelevant amount of money, and get really good at that. And then go back down to 4 and you'll be A-okay. Tony says, if anyone wants to pay you to help them lose weight, DM. Okay, sure. All right. So once you get to where you are decently well off, you want to make sure that you are giving back. There are a lot of people in the poker community who are very good at poker, who are incredibly unhappy and disgruntled with life. You may ask why. Well, I personally, this is just my opinion, think the reason that they are disgruntled and angry and mad at life is because they are not actually giving back to people in a way that benefits other people. I mean, even like in the content creation space, right? Like you have people who are very negative and very toxic. Then you have people who are very positive and uplifting, right? What's the difference? Well, the ones who are negative and tearing people down consistently are not actually providing benefits to people. They are doing the opposite. They're like doing worse than nothing. And that is a big, big problem. And poker players who sit there and just grind out poker all day, every day, a lot of them feel unfulfilled. So if you feel unfulfilled in life, you're going to find that you should start doing things to help other people. That's going to go a long way, I think, to making you feel better about yourself, right? If you are actively helping others and giving back to others and you get to see them succeed, that is very, very uplifting, motivating, etc. I mean, this is why I do what I do. Why do you think I'm waking up early morning for my kids, not for all of you? Why do you think I spend the first free hour I have 3 days a week here? It's because I know I'm helping all of you and it makes me feel good, right? And I know I'm providing value. And you should at least consider trying to find ways to help other people in your life. Easy way to do that is mentor somebody. If you work at a fast food restaurant, you've been there for 2 years, make sure you're helping out the people who are young, who want to do better, right? If you're in great shape, find people who you think you could help, perhaps offer the help, especially if they ask you for help, right? If you get really good at stuff, people are going to come to you asking for help. And if they come to you asking for help, don't turn them down, right? I mean, this doesn't necessarily apply once you become like super successful. For example, people come to me all the time saying, "Oh, will you teach me to play poker for free?" Like, I'll send you to my free content, but I'm not going to like give you private coaching for free. Sorry. But like even thinking in my life, I have a few mentors who are like, multi-millionaires, billionaires, right? And yet they'll like go to lunch with me whenever I want. and we'll hang out. And to be fair, I am sure I'm providing them value in the form of good poker discussion, right? Because they like to play poker. They all like to play poker. And they provide me value in life information, which is very, very valuable. If people have made hundreds of millions of dollars, you probably want to be learning what they're doing to make money and figure out how you can apply that to your life, right? So, if you have any skill, there will inevitably be some people out there who want to learn that skill, who can help you at life too. So then you start trading to some extent. But even then, even without the idea of trading, you can find people who you want to give back to, right? And I've had many mentees throughout my poker career where, I'll help them in various ways for either free or cheap because I enjoy doing it. Now I'm a little bit too busy to be doing this. Look, what am I doing here, right? This is a way to scale exactly that. And that's very beneficial to not just yourself, but to others because it makes other people like you. And I think something that's a little bit underrated in the poker community is that if people like you, you'll get way better opportunities down the road. Maybe this sounds selfish, right? But if people don't like you, doors are going to close. All the doors are going to close eventually. And if people do like you, the doors are going to open. And if you want to have good things in your life, a good way to do that is to have everyone always be willing to listen to you, think of you, consider you, as opposed to them immediately saying, no shot. There are some people in the poker community, if they came to me wanting to work and try to make a collaboration, and you all know I love collaborating, there are some people I would say absolutely not. And there are other people where I would say absolutely, because some people have closed off all the doors, some people have not. How many hours do I work a day? Monday to Friday, I typically work. How often do I work? I work roughly 9 a.m. till about 6 p.m. every day, sometimes in the evenings. 136 views, only 62 likes. That's actually pretty good if you think about it. Half of the people click like. Thank you for half the people clicking like. If you feel like clicking like, you might as well. It doesn't cost you anything. Supporting one's community satisfies the subconscious. Yeah, and if you are really good at something, presumably you had some help getting there, right? I want to do a meetup in New York City. Send me an email. Make it easy for me. If all I have to do is show up, yeah, I'll show up probably. Find some restaurant, ideally on the Upper East Side. Lunch would be fine. Fedor mentioned helping others by trading information. Yeah, and you don't even have to view it as a trade, right? Whenever I go to lunch with some of my mentors, very often I'm just going in there with the mindset of how can I help them the most? What do they want? How can I give that to them? And I'm not going in there thinking, what can I get out of it? I think this is a problem that a lot of people have is they are actively looking out mostly for themselves. They think, how do I get the most from this interaction? Whereas in reality, I approach basically every interaction with someone who is, well, it's going to sound bad, but significantly better at life than me. I'm approaching every interaction of how can I add value to this person. And even then, when I'm talking like any of you all, right? You send me an email and I reply, I'm replying with the idea of how do I provide the most value here? And I'm not thinking, what can I get out of it, right? Very often, some of you will send me an email asking me a question about which training site should I sign up for which thing of your site should I sign up for something that I'm not actually an expert in, that I have purposely not made content in, and I'll send you to somebody else because I want to provide value to you. I want to give you the absolute best information I can. That's my job, right? How much did you help people when you drove every single day for 6 years to the casino to play cash games? I actually had, back when I used to play Bellagio, I used to play Bellagio all day, every day. I had 2 people there who I basically took under my wing. And so there were 2 people there who, they're still good professional poker players, right? They listened. They did good things. And that is very, very useful, I think. Also, back then, I had a poker training site. Even then. I was helping lots and lots of people, right? I think a lot of people don't realize, if you work 40 hours a week at the casino, to be fair, I was putting in 70. Let's go back to the calculator. 24 hours a day times 7 days a week minus 10 hours for sleep and getting up each day, minus 70 hours at the casino. That leaves us 28 hours a week. Divided by 7 equals. That gives us 4 hours a day. Literally 4 hours a day to work on other stuff. If you can't get anything done in 4 hours a day, you're not trying hard enough. Even if you goof off 2 of them. If you work hard on something 2 hours a day, like I did 12 years ago on my training site, you can still get a whole lot done. Shouldn't your kids be in school? They are in school. Which stakes are I playing? 5, 10, 2, however big they'd want to play. I'm going to go to Boston anytime soon. If they start having high-stakes tournaments with good schedules, I will go. Otherwise, it's probably not in the cards for me. You want to thank me for my classes at the Pensacola Greyhound track, where I'm from, actually. Your win rate was in the toilet. Now, after the master class, you're at $18 an hour. There you go. This is exactly what we're talking about, right? How'd you deal with a lazy, sloppy coworker? Don't worry about it and drastically outperform the coworker to the point that you get all the promotions and they don't. You get annoyed at this person. Don't get annoyed. Realize that they don't have the aspirations you do. Everyone does not think about things like you do. Hope James Romero remembers I bought him breakfast in Nottingham. Yeah, James Romero is one of my friends. He, how did I meet him? I just randomly met him through Michael Acevedo because I was learning through Michael Acevedo a lot. He's a coach at pokercoaching.com now. And he wrote this book behind me, Modern Poker Theory. And James randomly came up to me. He's like, oh yeah, I studied from Michael too. I'm like, oh, sweet. So we became friends. And I think his girlfriend's a member of poker coaching. And he came to my breakfast in Nottingham for fun. And then he took, 3rd or 4th place in the Nottingham main event. And then he just won a $25K in South America. So he's absolutely crushing it. I actually asked him to be a coach a long time ago, but he said he's too busy. So maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. Yeah, if you have your guy, maybe ask him why he's not motivated. To be fair, look, I don't think you need to try to fix people necessarily. If people want to be fixed by you, feel free. If people look at your example and they think, wow, that person's crushing it. How do I crush it? And then they ask you, how do they crush it? Give all the information you like. You have to be careful trying to help people who don't want to be helped. It's a little bit tough when they immediately impact your life, right? Because imagine you and your coworker are involved in the exact same thing. You effectively are a forced team, and if you fail together, and if you succeed succeed together. Well, in theory, in that relationship, one of you is almost always riding the coattail of the other. And at some point, it's up to you to make sure you get what you think is, or what you get what you deserve. And if your coworker is drastically worse than you, you have to tell the superior, look, this person is not very good. If you start a business with someone, for example, and they aren't very good, got to find a new business partner, right? It's unfortunate, but that's that. Let's see. You think I have M all wrong. It's just the cost of an orbit. Yes, I know that. I know what M is. I believe it or not, I actually know a decent amount about poker. I'll also tell you, essentially, no high-stakes poker players thinking in terms of M. So I'm not trying to think as the players who thought about poker many, many years are thinking. We're trying to think like good, world-class, high-stakes professionals. Obviously, the ante is relevant. You account for the ante. It's obviously you account for the ante. You have ace-jack and you flop nothing. What do? You need to go to pokercoaching.com and study. That's what you need to do. Because we discussed that thoroughly. What is their perceived range? If the board is highly coordinated and you are continuation betting a ridiculous amount of the time, you're either going to get trapped. Well, yeah, so that's the answer to this question. What is their perceived range? If you're continuation betting into 2 people with a non-nut hand or a junk hand over and over and over, then you're not going to win. Am I going to parks this weekend? Absolutely not. So look, the times I travel to poker, pretty much only one time, maybe 2. I'm traveling to poker primarily when I can play a ton of volume at a big buy-in at the same time. So Nottingham was a good example, right? There they had a 10K, 25K, another 10K, a 5K. I just happened to be locked up in 2 tournaments for a long time, so I didn't actually get to play a ton. I could play online there, right? We played 50 tournaments online and won our 40K or whatever it was. And I could play a lot of tournaments in a 9-day period, right? Next, I'll go to tournaments if there's like one tournament very, very close to me locally. This may imply something like Borgata, right? There, I can go and I can play a 1K, a 1,500, and a 3,500 in like a 5-day period. And that's usually okay too. But I'm not going to Parks and play a $1,000 buy-in tournament. I'm just not doing that. It doesn't make logical sense. Why? Because I value my time very highly. And the idea of commuting anywhere does not make sense to me unless I can make a lot of money on the back end. And that's just not the case whenever you go to Parks, because you play a 1K, even if you're great. Let's say I make $1,500 playing a 1K there. Is that worth the effort? Is that worth being away from the family for a day? Is that worth not doing a little coffee that day and not writing a book and not doing my webinars, et cetera, et cetera? And the answer is no. So every once in a while I'll go to something like that, but it does not make logical sense for me. Now, if you have a job where you make $20 an hour, but you can make $500 a day on average playing poker, well then obviously you should go, right? But I would not sign for $500 a day doing much of anything, because I think we can do better than that at this point by scaling and working very hard for all of you. For example, it's not a good example, but for example, say 500 people watch this video. I would be willing to bet out the door we can probably get $500 of value from all of you, because I'm providing way more than $500 of value in terms of teaching you about poker and maybe a little bit about life. And by providing immense value to a lot of people, you're going to find that doing things purely for yourself stops mattering so much. When you start figuring out a way to give to lots of people, the idea of I want to go play poker because I want to play some cards goes completely out the window. Or I want to go play poker to make a little bit of money goes completely out the window. And that's what I would suggest all of you try to figure out a way to do. Try to figure out a way to scale your skills to help an immense amount of people. Because when you start helping a lot of people, they are going to reward you, even if it is just a tiny bit, right? Like you have people on YouTube who make nonsense videos who people like, and they have millions and millions of followers. And every time someone watches, they make them watch an ad. They subject them to watching an ad. And, the content creator gets paid 0.01 penny. Well, if you have 1 million followers times 0.01 pennies, let's get out a calculator. 0.01, oh, no. Let's do 1/10 of a penny, okay? Times 1 million equals, every time they make a video, they get $100. And if they get that 1 million views immediately, and they're going to get more and more and more views later, maybe they make $500 by making some content that they just enjoy. And if they can make 3 of these a day, they're making $1,500 a day, right? And that's not even like a super crusher, right? And that's important to recognize, that if you can scale your work and it is beneficial to people, people think it adds value, or does add value ideally, then the idea of selfish things becomes not so relevant. Because right now, I can tell you, all I spend my time doing is making content for all of you, playing with my kids, which, is my selfish thing now. I want to hang out with my family. And hanging out with my wife. And that's basically it. I'm not going to play a Magic the Gathering tournament. I'm not playing Hearthstone. I'm not reading fiction books. I'm not doing a lot of things that I would like to be doing, because it does not make logical sense at this point in my life. Right? That's 1/100 of a penny. Well, maybe I screwed that up. Who knows? Anyway, I have to go get ready for the webinar. Louis Philippe says, the Matt Affleck webinars have been extremely good webinars for Poker Coaching Premium. You really like them. Well, that's why I hired him. I know Matt Affleck is a genius when it comes to poker, and he is a hard worker. And there are a lot of people out there who, look, I don't know about Matt's natural innate abilities. Like, I know myself, I'm not naturally a good poker player. I'm naturally a weak, tight knit. And I have to work hard to get good at what I'm good at. And I think a lot of other people are like that, where if you're going to get good at poker, it's going to be because of the sheer will you put into it, as opposed to you're just going to roll out of bed and be great at poker. When I rolled out of bed, I was bad at poker. And I had to study a lot. And I've learned the ways to study and the ways to apply the things that I've learned in a way that I can teach a lot of other people. That's why you stopped playing poker 2 years ago. Now that your kids are getting older, you want to come back in. Yeah, I would actually say whatever hobbies you have kind of go out the window when you have kids, right? And it's okay. You get to come back to them eventually, whenever you have more free time. When my kids are grown up and gone, well, I'm going to have an additional 6 hours every day to do whatever I want. And who knows what that'll be. How do you increase your stamina at the poker table? Be in good shape, have a good mindset, play longer sessions, and get used to it. Jonathan, Jaffe's content's amazing. Just GTO's content is great. I mean, look, I try to provide good value. If it's not good value, I typically don't have it. And you have to realize if there's content on the site you don't necessarily like, because maybe it's too advanced or too basic, well, realize that content's not for you. It's kind of hard to have a training site, harder than you would think, because you can make a training site very specified, or very specified, is that the right word? No, that's not the right word. Very specialized, meaning like just for, let's say, beginners, or just for super high stakes crushers. But then you miss a lot of people. So instead we try to structure such that there's stuff for beginners, stuff for intermediate players, stuff for very high stakes players. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I have to go now. I have to get ready for the Poker Coaching Homework Challenge. How do I study for poker? By going through ranges like I do in the Poker Coaching Homework Challenge. If you are not a Poker Coaching member right now, go and sign up. And in literally 13 minutes, I'm going to show you how I study at poker. I'm going to do it right there for you. Go sign up and I will be there. We have a Valentine's Day sale. You can even sign up for a discount. I mean, what more do you all want? I think you can sign up for like, whatever it was, like 30 cents a day or something insanely cheap. If you think it's not worth 30 cents a day, well, God bless you. Good luck with your life. All right. Go to pokercoaching.com/Valentine sale if you think I'm worth 30 cents a day. If you don't, well, then I guess you're not going to see how I study. We're going to be going through a situation. I'll tell you what we're going to be going through right now, just so it's fresh on my mind. In a 2-5 cash game, a competent player with 100 big blind effective stacks, and the cutoff raises to $20, and everyone folds to you in the small blind. What is your strategy? Should probably 3-bet or fold. I'm going to throw that out there. Suppose you 3-bet to $70 and only the cutoff calls. Flop comes king, 7, 6, 2 clubs. What is your strategy? How do you play your whole range? Take a second. Think about it. Take a while to think about it. I'll tell you the answer to this one. You should probably be continuation betting about 100%. The GTO strategy continuation bets about 75% of the time. Suppose we bet $70, opponent calls, turns a queen of spades. What is our strategy? How do we play with our entire flop betting range, which I just told you is probably everything for simplicity? Now we're going to be doing some checking and we're going to be doing some betting. So we have to say what our strategy is, right? And our strategy here is going to look, let's see if I can do this. That's not going to be so pretty. It's going to look something like this. Turn strategy looks something like this. This is how we're thinking about poker. We're thinking, how do we play all of the hands in our range? Then we have our river strategy. Suppose we bet, the opponent calls. What do we do with our river strategy? We have an explanation for it all over here that I go through. But this is roughly what the river strategy looks like. And if you're not thinking about poker like this, you're probably not going to be a very good player. So anyway, I'll be going through that very soon. I have to get my thoughts together because I go through many of the students' answers to the homework question. I think we had something like 130 submissions. So there's 130 submissions to this homework question. I go through all of them. And I select some of them that are worth reviewing. And usually these are ones that have like kind of clear errors in them so that I can help people who have those same errors not make those errors. I don't go through every single answer because a lot of the answers are just like kind of good to begin with. And but some of the answers that are a little bit off, like say someone's has a wide calling range preflop, for example, we're going to note that because that's important. You don't want to have that here. When does that webinar start? It starts in 11 minutes. It'll go for about 2.5 or 3 hours. Believe it or not, this is not the only content I make each day. It's an all-day, everyday thing. All right, I have to go get ready. Have a great day. Good luck. Again, you can sign up right now at pokercoaching.com/Valentine sale at a discount. If you can't find it, go to twitter.com/Jonathan Little. I'm sure it'll come right up. If you still can't find it, email support@pokercoaching.com and we will get you set up. So that's going to be it. Have a great day. Good luck in your games. Be nice to someone and give back. If you are not fully happy with your life, try giving back and helping others. That's going to go a long way to, well, bettering the world and also giving you a little bit more fulfillment because I want all of you to be happy and fulfilled. Have a great Valentine's Day.